But first, I have a dream. I have a dream that one day presidential candidates can stop bickering amongst themselves and focus on issues that actually matter to you and me. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Hillary Clinton came under fire last week when she said that it took a president, Lyndon Johnson, to accomplish Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of civil rights by passing the civil rights legislation. Well, then there was outrage from the African-American community, followed by everybody else yelling at each other on television. Democratic candidate Barack Obama now saw the opening, and he took it this weekend, saying that it was views like Clinton that made people tired of game playing in Washington and all the politicians. He hammered her for diminishing King's role in the battle for civil rights, and this forced Clinton to go on NBC's Meet the Press yesterday to defend her comments and take Obama to task. Here's what happened.
Clearly, we know from media reports that the Obama campaign is deliberately distorting this. And, you know, I think we should just take a step out here for a minute. This is the most exciting election we've had in such a long time, because you have an African-American, an extraordinary man, a person of tremendous talents and abilities running to become our president. You have a woman running to break the highest and hardest glass ceiling. I don't think either of us want to inject race or gender in this campaign.
Didn't she just inject? I mean, is it just me? Jamal Simmons is a Democratic strategist, and Chris Wilson is a Republican strategist, CEO of Wilson Research Strategies. Let me start with you, Jamal. Let's start with the Martin Luther King thing. Is she wrong? Didn't it? I mean, here's the woman who says it takes a village. Doesn't it take a village, a whole bunch of people, including the president and Congress, to pass Martin Luther King's dream?
Of course it does, and I don't think anybody would argue that Lyndon Johnson didn't do a yeoman's effort by getting that bill passed. The issue is just where was the major force? Was it because the president signed the legislation, or was it all the people, which Senator Clinton herself said, you know, went out, marched, bled, fought, got bitten by dogs and all that?
Does it matter at this point? These two bickering about it. I mean, geez, for the love of Pete, our country is burning down to the ground, and California is going into your bedroom to adjust your thermostat. Does it matter?
Well, if you look at the whole host of issues that these campaigns are talking about, they both have put out economic plans this week. They both have been talking about what to do about health care and the environment. But the media does seem to get focused on these hot-button issues, even though the candidates spend 90% of their time talking about the issues that really affect you and I.
Okay. Chris, let me ask you this. You're a GOP strategist. Let's say Barack Obama goes the distance and he's the Democratic candidate, and Fred Thompson or Rudy Giuliani, anybody, is the other candidate, and he said these things, do you think that it would be as kind to a Republican in response, or they would just immediately just start hammering people for being racist?
They'd be eviscerated. I mean, this is almost, you listen to her comments and you just kept waiting for her to say clean and articulate. It's really bizarre in terms of the way she's approached this. And if you look at her numbers with African Americans right now, she's losing African Americans 66-16 for Obama. And in states like South Carolina, that is huge ramifications.
Now, wait a minute. Jamal, help me out. You're the Democratic strategist. How has this turned? Because for a while, I heard that, what was it they were saying? Barack Obama isn't black enough. He's not black enough for I mean, I didn't even understand what that even meant at the time. But now, the African-American vote is going all to Barack Obama. What has changed?
Well, what's changed is I think a lot of African Americans were concerned about Senator Obama's ability to actually be able to win in America. And by winning in Iowa, he sort of proved the case that he can get a general election audience, white people, to vote for him. And so African Americans have said, okay, this guy may actually have a serious chance. How are we going to sit on the sidelines and not be supportive of him? So you're seeing a wholesale movement of African Americans to his cause.
So it is the opposite.
Even though the Clintons do have a long track record and people still feel very positively about them, as long as they don't get too carried away with all this racial politics.
Okay, good. So what I was thinking here is, I thought it was racist when people said, oh, the African-American people, they just don't think he's black enough. I thought that was racist. I mean, what? I don't look for somebody who's white enough for me to vote for. That's ridiculous.
African-Americans are discerning voters just like everybody else.
Correct.
And
so
they've got to make their decision.
It's not racist. What some people are saying now is, well, now race is playing a role. No, it's not. They just see that this is a guy who they believe in and he can win, and so they're voting. It's not based on race, is what you're saying.
I don't think it's based on race at all. I think
Good.
it's based on issues, and it's based on finding a candidate they think will actually go to Washington and shake things up, even though Senator Clinton does have a record of breaking a glass ceiling if she gets elected also.
I think, Chris, if you're a strategist on the other side, and my spider senses went off when she said, and he's an amazing man. What a lovely man. I'd love to grab him by the cheeks and just do this. You know, it was almost, what I was hearing, translation, bullcrap to English, what I was hearing is, and I really believe that he will be my vice presidential candidate.
I don't know at this point that there's any chance of that happening, but I agree with Jamal. I mean, I don't think this is racial on the part of voters, but I do think the Clinton campaign is really skirting the line there. And, you know, for a while they talked about him being unelectable because of experience, and they've just kind of dropped the experience line, and you just wonder if there isn't some undertones behind what they're saying.
Well, but
the whole aspect of
But hang on, you've
it.
got the head of, I'm being told we're out of time. We'll have to come back and talk about the head of the BET started throwing out the drug use stuff. I mean,
yeah, but most African-American voters aren't billionaires. You know, there's a little bit of difference between the head of BET and your average African-American voter in South Carolina, with all due respect.
All right, thanks a lot. Jamal, Chris, we'll talk to you again.